Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Thassa's Oracle, and Doomsday. We're playing broken vintage cards today. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. This is Vintage Doomsday, and before we get into the deck tech, I would like to take a moment and thank the person responsible for today's video, Hunter Sandlin, whose favorite deck in both Vintage and Legacy is Doomsday. And Hunter wanted to see the deck in the current Vintage era, which is based all around the card Stock Up, a card that we are notably not playing today. So why aren't we playing Stock Up? It's this new exciting card from Aether Drift, 2 and a blue. You get to look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put 2 of them to your hand, and then the rest go on the bottom in any order. Very similar to Dig Through Time, which is a card we are playing. So why wouldn't we play Stock Up? It just makes sense, right? Well, not really. The Stock Up decks are pretty different from Doomsday. So Stock Up being actual 3 mana is different from Dig Through Time being 2 mana and an instant. Because you can hold open Flusterstorm or, consider or other cards on your opponent's end step, untap, and try to win. If you tap out on your main phase, your opponent might have the sign that you're weak to a combo and try to go for it, or something along those lines. So instant versus sorcery matters, but also so does that 1 additional mana value. So the reason that Stock Up is so good in decks like Paradoxical Outcome or the Dimir Lurrus control deck is that they play tons of acceleration via Soul Ring, Mana Crypt, other Moxen. When you look at our deck list, we have 1 Mox Jet, 1 Mox Sapphire, and 1 Black Lotus. That is not enough to support Stock Up. If you would like to play Stock Up, you really do need the whole power suite of Moxen, and that's not something Doomsday can afford to play, so we're not playing it. That's the idea. So if Stock Up is defining the metagame, what do we do in order to combat that? Well, I've made some adjustments to my deck list today. We're playing 4 copies of Flusterstorm and a Daze with no copy of Force of Negation. Force of Negation does counterspell a Stock Up, but you don't really want to trade 2 cards for their Stock Up. That's not really a good exchange. So instead of doing that, we are just playing more efficient cards. And part of what's happened is that the Jewel Shop stack has fallen a little bit out of favor, meaning that you can relegate those Force of Negations to the sideboard. The other change since my Eternal Weekend video is that we're no longer playing Fatal Push in the sideboard because we're playing Snuff Out. With only 1 copy of Vexing Bauble in the format now, Snuff Out is a better, cleaner answer to the initiative creatures, but also things like Collector Oof or whatever. So that was a nice upgrade that we got to play. So those are really it. And if you're more interested in how Doomsday works, I do have plenty of videos on this channel, including a bunch around Eternal Weekend with Vintage Doomsday, which I have 2 feature matches at Eternal Weekend that you can go check out as well. That's my deck tech. If you're interested, I do have an older sideboard guide from Eternal Weekend over at theepicstorm.com/shop. If you're interested in essentially the same sideboard, it's just Fatal Pushes instead of Snuff Outs. That's what I've got for today. Hopefully you enjoy the video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to Hunter once again for this donation deck, and I will see everyone in match number 1. See you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Match number 1. And we are live. And I say that because I've made a mistake. I've already recorded 1 match where I got smushed and I didn't hit record. So instead of, trying to talk over a Magic Online replay, I figured I would just drop and re-record. I did get smushed. I also made kind of a bad misplay, but we're going to get past that and just restart the league. So my apologies. And we're on the draw. Our opponent has revealed a Lurrus of the Dream Den, so you can assume that they're on the Dimir control deck. I think that this hand is fine. We'll keep. They play Basic Island. We draw another land. I didn't really want a 5th mana source, but we'll try to make do. And play Ponder. I like all of these. So, Force of Will on the bottom, Daze in the middle, Gitaxian Probe. And then we'll fire off the Gitaxian Probe. Force of Negation, Dress Down, Time Twister, Force of Will, Treasure Cruise, Urza Saga. That is a hand. That is a very good hand. Double Force. So we're about to draw into Force of Will. I'll play the Polluted Delta. Let's play Ponder. Well, that's pretty good. So we know that they have Dress Down. I'm not sure what the right play is here. Oracle on the bottom, Demonic Consultation, Doomsday. And then we'll pass the turn. And so if they flash in a Dress Down, that's good for me. Saga goes to the second chapter. And they missed the land drop. Perfect. And I think I would like to redraw the card on top. Let's see if I'm allowed to Doomsday here. The Force of Negation, exiling Dig Through Time. Okay. I will pass. Urza Saga goes to the third chapter. They grab Black Lotus. 6 cards still in hand. 3 black. I think our opponent's not realizing they're 1 mana short of putting Lurrus to their hand and then casting. They're attempting a Time Twister. I think I'm actually going to let this resolve. Because if I force a will and they don't force back, my hand is nothing. And then they could even Treasure Cruise. So I'm going to allow the Time Twister to resolve. They play Mox Jet and Tundra. They drew into Lavinia. Wow. Yeah, so I can't play this Dig Through Time. Well, Fetch and Surveil. So I have my Undercity Sewers, Dark Ritual. I think I want the Dark Ritual. It might be a little bit greedy, but if I find Doomsday, this is a very good turn for me to win. So we'll play Ponder. None of those do what I want. We'll shuffle. I will Ponder again. Necropotence. I mean, it's not Doomsday, but it's good enough here. Dark Ritual. Necropotence. And that resolved. Okay. Let's spend a blue and look at their hand. Strip Mine, Wasteland, Black Lotus, a bunch of mana. So we'll draw like 5 cards here and then figure out what I want to do. That was 4 and 5. Alright, we'll go to the end step. Necropotence triggers. A lot of lands. Another Flusterstorm. Another land. And a Street Wraith. So I'm getting rid of at least 2 lands and the Dig Through Time. That could have been better. That was honestly kind of trash. They play the Black Lotus. They put Lurrus to their hand. They play the Lurrus, and I cannot counter with a Flusterstorm. They replay Black Lotus. The Wasteland. Goodbye to my Underground Sea. And now an attack from Lavinia, I will go to 10. So I do not draw a card here. But what I can do is fetch and then hardcast Street Wraith. Here's a 3/4. Yeah, here we go. And now I'll pay 2 life to Necropotence. Pass the turn. I'm at 7. We draw Black Lotus that I can't play with the Lavinia on the table. These Necropotence draws have been just awful. They play another Wasteland, so they drew a Wasteland for turn. Oh, you don't want to attack? So this is going to be my last fetchable land here. We'll play another Street Wraith. And I'll pay 2 life down to 4. And then we'll pass the turn. This is just good magic. They have an Orcish Bowmasters. So Necropotence isn't draw, it's exile the card, so it's a little bit different. I go to 3. It's a Daze and a Gush. Okay. So they actually benefit from attacking with an Orcish Bowmasters because I can't really block it or else they just recast it off of the Lurrus. So they should attack with the Bowmasters here. And they do. Yeah, I think I've lost this game. I will go to 2. I don't know how I could possibly win. Because next turn, if I Necropotence, how do I answer the Bowmasters? We drew like 12 cards. Maybe not 12. 5 and then 2, 3 times 11. We drew 11 cards off Necro. And they were all terrible. Yeah, so, I mean, this game was sweet, but I didn't win it. So that's a bummer. Now we're going to game number 2, where I think we want Murktide Regent. Get rid of 1 Treasure Cruise, the Vampiric Tutor, and Necropotence. I'm not playing Force of Negation in the main deck anymore. Previously, I had 2 Fatal Push in the sideboard that I would board in for this matchup because it kills Orcish Bowmasters and Lavinia. But the Esper builds are not very popular anymore. That said, we're facing one. So this would be a matchup where I would like Fatal Push, but It's just not a option if you're going to play Snuff out for initiative. So I'm going to submit and hope that Murktide Regent is good enough. Also, hope that my draws are a little bit better because they were kind of stinky there. On the play for game number 2. Yeah, we keep this. Let's party. We'll play the basic island, pass the turn, in their upkeep, Ancestral Recall. No land. Okay, they play a Wasteland. The Mock Sapphire, okay. Let's play Ponder, looking for another land. We find one, it's a Mox Jet. So I can take the Jet and then play Time Walk. Draw into the Underground Sea, I'd have 4 mana. It's a little bit short of playing Murktide Regent. I think we still keep it. Play the Mox Jet. And now I'll play Time Walk. So I could play out the Underground Sea, but if they Wasteland me, it feels a little foolish. I could also just pass, which might be better. Yeah, let's pass the turn. Polluted Delta. Let's try Consider. Let's see if they respond with an Orcish Bowmasters. We'll keep the Probe on top. Play the Probe. So this is 5 cards in the graveyard for Murktide Regent. Lavinia, Spell Pierce, Mindbreak Trap, Force of Negation. So if I play the Murktide Regent, they could Mindbreak Trap it, and then I have to get into a fight. I just don't think I want to do that. I will pass the turn. And then next turn I can play Murktide Regent without playing into any of the cards in their hand. They draw a Mox Jet. Okay, so now they could play Time Twister. They search out Tundra. They put Lurrus to their hand. Alright, so end step will fetch. Grab the Undercity Sewers. Get rid of Misty Rainforest. That's 7 cards to the graveyard. Another Murktide. We'll play Underground Sea. Murktide Regent. Let's exile some spells. That is a large dragon. And then I think I would like to try to Doomsday. So they have a Spell Pierce, and I'm aware of that. But if I could get them to use something on this, I think that's good. And they don't. Okay. So that's interesting. We'll put 2 Oracles in the pile. Their current hand can't beat me just cycling into an Oracle. So maybe I'll put another Force in the pile too and a Flusterstorm. Yeah, like, is this crazy? Like, I think that this is actually just fine. So next turn, I would draw... I could go Street Wraith, just Oracle. Put Fluster on the bottom. Another Oracle. Force. Street Wraith. Oracle. Pass the turn. A little surprised they just let Doomsday resolve there. Okay, goodbye to my lands. And now they're going to clean up. Discards Dig Through Time. We'll begin by attacking. Hiya. Cycle Street Wraith. I go to 6. Try a Thassa's Oracle. You can't Mindbreak Trap it. You cannot Force of Negation. You cannot Spell Pierce. So we've taken game number 2. I'm just going to send back the same list. Alright, so we have no protection, but I like that this hand sees a lot of cards, which is something that's good in this matchup, so I'm going to try it. Mox Pearl, and they cycle a Lorien Revealed for an Underground Sea. Nile Spellbomb, sure. Flusterstorm, pretty good draw. We'll play Black Lotus and Ponder. Doomsday, Flusterstorm, Street Wraith. This is actually incredible. So next turn I could go Doomsday with double counter backup into a win. I Doomsday on top will draw Flusterstorm. Pass the turn. My fear here is if they have a Lavinia that I can't interact. Demonic Tutor is fine. And they're passing the turn with 5 cards. We'll play Underground Sea, Dark Ritual, Mental Misstep. Am I trying to rush this by jamming this turn? I'm going to make blue. We will Flusterstorm. My fear is if I pass and they play Lavinia, I'm just locked. So I don't want to do that. Dark Ritual, Doomsday. Okay. So we'll select Black Lotus, Thassa's Oracle, a Gush, and Daze? I don't know. No, I've already played a land. So I don't want Daze. Maybe a Street Wraith? So I just want to think through this real quick. I'm going to play Consider, and I'm going to get rid of the Street Wraith, and then draw into Gush. Gush will draw Black Lotus Oracle, and then I'd still have 1 Oracle in deck. This is fine. All right, so one Thassa's Oracle on the bottom, and now another Thassa's Oracle, Black Lotus, Gush, Street Wraith. Play Consider. Get rid of the Street Wraith. Float a blue. We'll play Gush. And now play Black Lotus. And we win the match. How about that? All right, we are 1-0 to start off this Vintage League. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're on the play. Our opponent did not reveal a Lurrus of the Dream Den. We have a turn 1 Necropotence, I like that, and we have Flusterstorm backup. We'll begin with a Gitaxian Probe, see what our opponent's up to. Okay, they're on Chops. We'll play Mox Jet, Dark Ritual, Necropotence. Let's play the Sewers, because I'm not going to use this Flusterstorm anyway. And I don't think I hate a Mox Sapphire, and now we'll pay some life. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Go to the end step. Necropotence will trigger. Ooh, I did not hit a Force of Will. Okay, so we'll discard Misty Rainforest. I know that they don't have anything with a mana value of 1, so I could discard the Mental Misstep. Alright, pass the turn. They play Mox Pearl, Ancient Tomb, and Thorn. Yep, can't counter it. So I don't draw because there's a Necropotence. We'll play the Mox Sapphire. And let's consider. I mean, Ancestral Recall's pretty good, but it costs 2. I'd have to take some time off. I think it's probably fine. And then I'll pay 3 life here. Go to the end step. And we'll get rid of Dig Through Time. Or is Dig Through Time better than a Consider? It's probably better. Patchwork Automaton. They drew a Mox Emerald. So this will make the Patchwork Automaton a little bit bigger. And now Wasteland. And they could even play another one. Instead, they destroy my land. Okay. Running out of time. I'll play the Misty Rainforest. We'll fetch down to 7. Ancestral Recall targeting me. 6 cards in the graveyard. So if I just pass, I could discard a card, end step Vampire Tutor for Thassa's Oracle, and then I have a win. I think that's the move. Discard Treasure Cruise. Yeah, I have a deterministic win, as long as, I guess Crucible of Worlds messes that up. Because if they play Crucible of Worlds instead of the Automaton here, well, they didn't. So I guess I lucked out there. So I go to 4. And they have another Wasteland. No way! I just lost, I think. So I can float a blue. And then dig through time. So I guess I need like an insane dig through time, like land plus one of my 2 oracles. Time Walk is good. So is Black Lotus. Okay. I think that wins. Ooh, it doesn't win. Hold on. This doesn't win. Because I would need another land. Oh boy. Okay, so I can play the Lotus, but Lotus only casts the Time Walk. And then Vampiric Tutor, I'd actually have to pay a life for the Necropotence too. And I forgot about that. Am I just dead then? So I can play Time Walk. Yeah, I'm just like a mana short. So I guess we'll Ponder. None of these cards help me. Shuffle. Forcible is garbage. Yeah, I'm dead. Wow, we had turn 1 Necropotence and it failed again. I'm beginning to lose faith in this card. So I can play Black Lotus for 1 mana, cast Time Walk, pass. And I guess I have to just draw an Oracle plus land. So we'll play Black Lotus, make 3 blue, play Time Walk. So I can pay 3 life here. And that 3 life needs to be Oracle plus land that isn't not a fetch land. So is it better to just draw 2 then? Because then it leaves open fetch lands? I don't know. How many fetches have I seen? 1, 2. So there's a bunch of fetches still in the deck. And I've already used Underground Sea and a Sewers. So I have like 4 untap lands. 2 untap, or 3 untap lands. I have 2 Underground Seas and a basic. So 2 is the right number. We'll go to the end step. Okay, I lost. I guess I could have paid like 15 life on that first Necropotence, just like making sure I found a Force of Will, but that feels wrong to me. We'll bring in Murktide Regent, bring in Force of Negation, Mindbreak Trap, Null Rod. So that's 68. Something I did at Eternal Weekend against Jewel Shops was I just boarded out of being a Doomsday deck. Like, you leave in Thassa's Oracle plus Demonic Consultation, but you just board out Dark Ritual Doomsday and you're just like, I am a Murktide control deck. That is an option we have here. I don't know if it's good, but it's something I could do. I think instead we'll board out Flusterstorm, board out the Mental Misstep. That's 63. Board out the Necropotence, board out Treasure Cruise, and Dig Through Time. Let's try this. That game was incredibly frustrating. On the play. I think we keep. So this is turn 1 Time Walk into turn 2 Demonic Tutor Ancestral Recall. We'll play Misty Rainforest, Mock Sapphire, Fetch, grab an Underground Sea. We'll play Time Walk. And now we'll pass the turn back to ourselves. We draw Gush. We will fetch down to 18. Cycle Street Wraith. Because if we draw into Doomsday or something, it changes what I want a Demonic Tutor for. And now I'll Demonic Tutor. Grab Ancestral Recall. And I'll target myself. Pass the turn. So now it's like we started the game with 3 mana sources in play and a force against shops. Ancient Tomb. Patchwork Automaton. You've got it. Mock Sapphire. Vaccine Bauble. I have to counter this one. Exile Ponder. We draw Daze. I'll play Ponder. 3 lands. I will shuffle. We drew another land. Play play Misty Rainforest. And I think I'm actually going to grab Undercity Sewers here. I think I'll keep the Force of Negation, and let's play Ponder. But consider on the bottom, I'll draw the Force of Negation. Pass the turn. 3 mana here. They're at 16 Trinisphere. I will Daze picking up Underground Sea. Actually, no. Let's pick up Undercity Sewers. They play Wasteland. Sure. I could have Gushed. I don't think I want to here. So I'm about to draw Ponder. I'll play the Ponder. I think I'm going to keep this. Consider getting rid of the Dark Ritual. Draw the Probe. Play the Sewers. Get rid of Force of Will. Pass the turn. So the Gitaxian Probe, I think, is my Force of Negation pitch card. 3 mana again. Crucible of Worlds. I will Force of Negation exiling the Gitaxian Probe. They have a 5/5 Automaton. I would really like to find Murktide Regent. I'm at 6. There we go. We'll play the island. We'll play a big dragon. Okay. And then I will float a blue off of Undercity Sewers, and I'm going to play Gush. Consider. Okay, so the Dark Ritual actually makes the Murktide Regent lethal next turn. But I should do it now because another Wasteland wrecks me. So we'll play Doomsday. This is going to make the Murktide Regent gigantic. We'll do double Oracle. And then just like cards we don't want them to see, like Mindbreak Trap. Actually, I think I want to undo 1 Oracle. And I'm going to put the other 2 Murktide Regents in there so that way they think there's only 1. Okay, so this is a trick that I learned from a legacy friend of mine, Wonder Pro, who all the time talks about not showing your opponent's sideboard cards by putting them into your pile. So now we're going to, you'll see all these Murktide Regent triggers just happen. Doomsday exiles them. So your Murktide Regent will become larger. And now even if our opponent draws an artifact and they can play all 3 cards from their hand to make their creature larger, I have an 18/18 Murktide Regent. I am the beatdown. This was sweet. Yeah, that'll do. Oh, that was awesome. I think I'm going to resubmit. So you might be saying, why not bring in Snuff Out for the Patchwork Automatons? It's just that Snuff Out costs 2 due to Ward. So, like, is that even good? I don't know. Is it better than Null Rod? Maybe. So it would cost 4 life and 2 mana. This feels like a lot. I'm going to just hit submit. Okay, so we have Force of Will. We have a land. We have Null Rod. I think this hand's a little mana light, but I'm hoping that between my draw steps, Undercity Sewers and Gitaxian Probe, I end up hitting that land. Mana Vault can happen. 5 mana. Crucible of Worlds. I have to let this go. If you force a will this, I think you're just leaving yourself too open. I will force exile Time Walk. And if they have Wasteland, it's obviously going to hurt. But I think countering the Crucible of Worlds is kind of a rookie move. We'll get Gitaxian Probe. They have City of Traders, Grafdigger's Cage, Mindbreak Trap. Why would you board on Grafdigger's Cage? I don't think that card does anything. We'll play under City Sewers. Get rid of the Dark Ritual. Pass the turn. Here's my win condition. Mana Vault. Let's go. Auto yield to that trigger. 3 mana, so they drew something. Grafdigger's Cage, yep. City of Traders. Maybe they didn't draw anything. Black Lotus. Let's cycle Street Wraith. Come on, Demonic Consultation. Doomsday. So I could Doomsday here. We'll play Black Lotus. Spell number 1. Play Doomsday. Alright, so we'll put Black Lotus into the pile. Ancestral Recall. I'll put another land, and I can consider away the land on the end step. We'll put in another Thassa's Oracle just in case. So if I end step consider, I would mill card 5, draw card 4, untap, draw Ancestral Recall, and I think that works. And then I would need the other Oracle. So Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Oracle, and I think I could just put like Force of Will plus another thing. Or I guess it's just one card. Alright, so the bottom card will be Thassa's Oracle. Hold on. So, no, Ancestral doesn't work here. Ancestral doesn't work. I messed up. Okay, so we'll put Ancestral on the bottom. Force of Will above that. We'll do Black Lotus, Oracle, Underground Sea. Pass the turn. Yeah, I definitely messed this up. The Mana Vault triggers. Mox Jet. Okay, what I could have done is I could have stacked it to keep the card off of Consider, and that would have worked. But this is going to be fine. Wait, did I stack it wrong? I guess the next card is Black Lotus, and it's all going to be okay. We'll play Black Lotus. And now we'll play Thassa's Oracle. Spell number 2. Trigger. Put Force of Will on top. And that's the match. Whew, I need to start playing better. Because this is getting a little too dicey. But we're 2-0. How about that? Doomsday still has some legs. 3 matches remain. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Match number 3, we are on the play. Let's go. No idea what our opponent is playing, but there's a pause here, so I'm guessing there's a Lurrus of the Dream Den, and sure enough there is. I've opened up quite the clunky hand here. I don't think I'm allowed to keep this. And now I've opened up a hand that doesn't really play. So I could try to cycle into a land. Is that good? If I miss, it's going to be pretty embarrassing. Or I could try to go to 5. Alright, we're going to keep. I'm sure the comments are going to eat me alive, but I think I like my odds with this more than I do a 5-card hand versus a Lurrus control deck. We'll cycle Street Wraith. Cycle Street Wraith. Alright, did not hit. That's a bummer. Great Island. That's the island I use. Another Doomsday, come on. Mox Sapphire. You have a Time Walk. They played Tundra on the previous turn. And now Lavinia. Okay. Glad we went through that. That was super fun. I'm going to try to do better in the post-board games now. So we've gifted our opponent a game. You know, it's like golf with a handicap, right? That's exactly what that was. Me feeling bad for the poor Lurrus player. And now I have to climb up a hill in order to compete. We'll get rid of Necropotence, the Treasure Cruise, and the Vampiric Tutor. Submit. Also playing white. When you look at Goldfish, most of the lists are just straight Dimir. That is the second white Lurrus deck that we faced. And the reason I'm calling out white is that the white builds have Swords to Plowshare, so they're much better against my Murktide Regent sideboard juke. And I have to deal with Lavinia, where I normally wouldn't with the straight Dimir lists. Like, when you look at the front page of Goldfish, I believe, and this is just off the top of my head, the top deck in the metagame was Dimir Lurrus control, and it was like 14%. I don't even remember seeing seeing white in any of the lists. I'm going to keep. Having lands is good against Lavinia. This is not that dissimilar from the hand I saw game 1 in my 7. Obviously, it's not double Doomsday Necropotence, but it's another clunky hand. The value here is knowing that I have 3 lands against the Wasteland Strip Mine Lavinia deck. Play the Flooded Strand and pass the turn. They play their own Flooded Strand. End step I will fetch and grab Undercity Sewers. Don't want land number 4, so we can put Underground Sea to the graveyard. We draw a basic island. I believe I am going to just cast Time Walk. And I'm holding the Street Wraith because if I'm able to resolve Doomsday, having the Street Wraith means I can cycle into Gush and just win. So, in my opinion, one of my best draws is actually just finding Force of Will for my draw step for next turn. So, let's see if we can find Force of Will here. And we'll draw. And we found the Force of Will. Let's go. Okay, play Doomsday. The Doomsday resolves. We'll put another Thassa's Oracle in the pile. Black Lotus. I think I would like Gitaxian Probe, Gush, and Flusterstorm. So I just want to think through this. So if I cycle into Gitaxian Probe and then draw Gush, I can Gush in a Black Lotus Flusterstorm, but then I'd be 1 card short of Flusterstorm plus Force of Will backup. But I think that's okay. I'll click Done. And now Oracle goes on the bottom. Flusterstorm, Black Lotus, Gush, Gitaxian Probe. Cycle Street Wraith. After pausing for 2 minutes on Street Wraith, they let the cycle resolve. I will Gitaxian Probe. They have Force of Will, Mindbreak Trap, Lavinia. So if I try to... They have double protection. I'm drawing Black Lotus next turn. And they can play Lavinia next turn, so... I think I'm supposed to Gush now. Play the Gush. They play Mindbreak Trap. Okay. So I think how I win this is I have to play Thassa's Oracle in back-to-back turns. But I'm not sure if I actually have enough time for that. Because I'm at 5. So if they play Oracle here... I'm sorry, if they play Lavinia here... My top card is Black Lotus. And then Flusterstorm. And if I fight here... and then they fight back, that's fine. It's actually not fine. I'm dead on board. So my bottom card being Oracle is a problem. So I think I just lose this. Actually, hold on. So I draw Black Lotus. They swing, they Time Walk. I can then play Oracle with Flusterstorm backup on the following turn. I have to let this go. There's a chance I can still win this. I think the Mox Opal also means that they're Paradoxical outcome with white. And they're not Dimir control. So if I manage to win this, I'm going to change how I sideboarded for game 3. We draw the Black Lotus. I'll just replay Underground Sea and pass. My next card is Flusterstorm. So next turn, I want to go Black Lotus. It gets countered by Lavinia. Or I should play my land. Black Lotus, it gets countered by Lavinia. Play Thassa's Oracle. They Force of Will, I Flusterstorm. That is how I win this. If they play Time Walk here, that's fine. I go to 1. That doesn't really change anything. Alright, the Flooded Strand is a little obnoxious because now I think that they can pay for Flusterstorm. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll tap out for Stock Up and miss. They fetch with the Flooded Strand. And they do play Stock Up. Okay, so I need them to not find another answer to Thassa's Oracle. Also, I should not play the Black Lotus now, because playing Black Lotus plays in a Mindbreak Trap. We'll play the Underground Sea, play Thassa's Oracle. They Force of Will, exiling Paradoxical outcome. I will Flusterstorm, targeting Force of Will. So we beat Force of Negation here. I don't beat another Force of Will. Oracle. And they found another Force of Will. They apparently had 2 more Force of Wills. Okay, so we got. Lavinia is too powerful. We are now 2-1 in this vintage league. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. For round number 4, we're on the draw. I've opened up a terrible hand. I'm going to send this one back. Sure, we'll keep and get rid of the Mox Jet. Ataxian Probe. I'm going to mental misstep this. I don't want our opponent playing with perfect information. They have Black Lotus. Into Oath of Druids. Okay, sure. And Forbidden Orchard. I guess I was never winning this. You got it. I'm in trouble. Daze. I will fetch. Play the Black Lotus. Play Ponder. Am I really supposed to try to believe in Necropotence again? I mean, it's failed me so many times. I don't know. I think we're going to try to believe in Necro. Add 3 black. Necropotence. They're resolved. So we're going to pay some number of life here and try to sculpt a perfect hand. A hand that could theoretically allow me to beat a, what is it called? A Traxa that's about to come off the top. There's 5 triggers on the stack right now. 7. We'll do 8. I go to 9. So without Black Lotus, I don't know how I'm going to be able to convert here. I guess like Dark Ritual Doomsday into like Cycle Gush. Because I need the Black Lotus if I would like to convert. There's Oracle. Vampiric Tutor. So far, this is not looking that good. Not even a land. Alright, we found a land, but no Doomsday. Ay. So I have to go to cleanup. We don't need this many cantrips, so we'll get rid of the Considers. I don't think I have time for the Vampiric Tutor. And then I guess a Flusterstorm. I think I'm already dead. I don't think I'm capable of winning this game if they put a Trox on to the table. My opponent being on the play was the difference maker. So now they get to Oath of Druids. And there's a Troxa. Interesting that they're playing Urza Saga and Vexing Bauble. Alright, so they chose Beseiju, Brainstorm, and Vexing Bauble. Yeah, I don't think I can beat the Vexing Bauble. Maybe I'll get lucky and they'll Beseiju my Necro. That's the only way I think I could win this. Yeah, and I'm dead to the Vexing Bauble. Okay. Game 2. We want Force of Negation. We want Mindbreak Trap. Not a lot to board out in this matchup. I think you're honestly supposed to just shave Considers and then call it a day. Game number 2, we are on the play. I mean, we have Doomsday and Cyclers. I think we're supposed to keep this. I wish that the Undercity Sewers was an untap land. I think I'm just going to play Undercity Sewers and pass. Like, our opponent can't have the nuts every game. The Force of Will, being the top card, was very good. So next turn, the best thing that can happen is I ponder into a land, and then we can have a protected win. Tropical Island, Soul Ring, okay. So off this ponder, we just want to find a land. Because if I find a land, I can then go Dark Ritual, Doomsday, Cycle Street Wreath, and a Gush. This doesn't do it. I believe we have to shuffle this. You might be saying, why not keep the Mox Sapphire and then ponder again? I could do that, but then I wouldn't have a blue card for the Force of Will. And now we do. So we found the land, and this should be a turn 2 win with Force of Will back up. We'll play Dark Ritual, Doomsday. Alright, so I can do Black Lotus, Thassa's Oracle, Ataxian Probe, Gush, and I don't know, Street Wraith. The last one doesn't really matter. So I would put Oracle on the bottom, Street Wraith above it, and then Black Lotus, Gush, Probe, and then that would draw the whole pile. Alright, so I've selected my 5 cards. We're going to actually construct the Doomsday pile now. Oracle on the bottom, Street Wraith, Black Lotus, Gush, Ataxian Probe. Cycle the Street Wraith. I go to 6. Ataxian Probe down to 4. They have nothing. We'll play Gush. I'll draw the Street Wraith. Play the Black Lotus. Cycle the Street Wraith. It will play Thassa's Oracle. That is how we do. All right, off to game 3. Resubmit. Well, this is a hand. We would like to find a Doomsday, but triple free interaction versus Oath of Druids is not bad. We're going to keep Tropical Island. We found Doomsday. No way. Dark Ritual. Doomsday. They Force of Will exiling Atraxa. I will Force of Will exile Time Walk. They have 4 cards. Doomsday. Brainstorm. I will Mental Misstep. Doomsday. Alright, so I'm going to build an Ancestral Recall pile. I want Force of Will. Actually, hold on. Is that the best pile I should do? If I draw 4, so I can put Force on top for the Street Wraith, and then Ancestral, Black Lotus, Thassa's Oracle, and then Flusterstorm for, I don't know, Consigned to Memory. I straight up lose to a Wasteland, but I don't think I can beat everything. So I'm going to say done. And then Flusterstorm on the bottom, Thassa's Oracle, Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Force of Will. And I could cycle the Street Wraith into Force of Will if I need to. Forbidden Orchard, Oath of Druids. I don't care about that because we're about to win. I think countering this would actually just be a mistake because you could theoretically lose to a Force of Negation that you shouldn't. I'll draw the remaining 3 cards in my library, play the Black Lotus, or a Mindbreak Trap. Like, there's ways that you could lose this where you shouldn't. Play the Thassa's Oracle trigger. We came back. How about that? We are now 3-1 with 1 match remaining. The Best Legacy Podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Cobalt and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The 5th and final match, we are on the play. Our opponent about to reveal a Lurrus of the Dream Den. So I do have a couple thoughts, ooh, this hand is good, about the deck list today. And it's mostly that I decided to update my deck list last moment to include Snuff Out in the sideboard for initiative. And then we ended up facing a bunch. Ooh, that's a turn 1 with Force backup. So we ended up, sorry. In fact, I might have had a turn 1 already. Yeah, I just punted by cycling the Street Wraith and then I drew into it again. But basically, I included the Snuff Outs in the sideboard specifically for initiative. And then I faced Lavinia twice where I couldn't board into Fatal Push. I think I would actually undo that change. I would go back to Fatal Push over Snuff Out. It just feels like the Fatal Pushes are a lot more versatile, and I'm being punished for playing the card specifically for one matchup, where Fatal Push is just better against a wider range of strategies. Like, you could board it in against these Esper Lurrus decks. You could board it in against Paradoxical Outcome with Lavinia in it. You could board it in against Bug Midrange with Collector Roof and Deathrite Shaman. You could board it in against Initiative. There's a lot of matchups for Fatal Push where I feel like the Snuff Out just isn't as versatile. Doomsday. And I want the Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Thassa's Oracle, Gitaxian Probe, maybe Street Wraith. Let's just think through this real quick. So if I put Black Lotus, Probe, Ancestral Recall, and then I drew into the Force of Will Street Wraith Oracle. So I guess the Street Wraith isn't the card I want, because I don't think it actually helps me here. So it should just be another blue card, or a land. Let's do a land in case they, for some reason, force my Black Lotus. Should it just be the basic? Let's do this. Alright, so I just want to go through this one more time. So, basic on the bottom, Oracle below that. And then when I do the Brainstorm stuff, there's going to be a Force of Will there. Is the 3rd card down. So I think this works. And now I'll Brainstorm. And they have Mental Misstep. That's a bummer. Okay. Misty Rainforest. So now we're drawing Probe. Play the Probe, I go to 6. They fetch in response. Spell Pierce. Okay. I have to pass the turn. So they opened up on Force of Will, Mental Misstep, Spell Pierce. And apparently my card was Lotus, not the Ancestral Recall. So now I have to wait multiple turns. I should play out the Black Lotus. My next card is Ancestral Recall that I can't use. I thought it was going to be Ancestral Recall right there. So I stacked my pile wrong. Orcish Bowmasters. That puts me to 5. So then I'm about to draw the Ancestral. And then the card under that, I believe, is Thassa's Oracle and the basics on the bottom. So I go to 3. I'm dead to another creature here. And I can't Force of Will anymore. My opponent opened up an insane hand. I would just like to point that out. Like, honestly, just the nuts. So I'm about to go to 1. They have 3 cards. Sacrifice Black Lotus. We'll play Thassa's Oracle. And they have Dress Down? And I can't Force of Will because I'm at 1. Sure. You got me. Oh, that's brutal. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you just lose in Magic. It happens. I will bring in my Murktide Regents, Necropotence, Vampiric Tutor, and Treasure Cruise. There's an expression in Vintage, which is sometimes you just get vintaged, which is your opponent opens up a bunch of powerful cards and there wasn't really a whole lot you could have done. And I feel like that last game I got vintaged a little bit. Like our opponent just had a draw that lined up well against ours, and that's going to happen with the nature of this format with, you know, the Moxen and Ancestral Recall and Time Walk. And sometimes it doesn't really matter because your opponent will have drawn a better variance of cards than what you drew. And that's just getting vintaged, and it's a part of the game, or at least when you play Vintage. We're on the play for game number 2. Yeah, we'll keep. Misty Rainforest, pass. They play an Underground Sea. Mox Sapphire. Mox Jet. Okay. This could be turn 1 stock up. It's not. So I have to guess if they're not doing anything, they probably have an Orcish Bowmasters. We'll select Undercity Sewers. Mox Jet. Let's keep that because it allows for double Flusterstorm backup next turn. They have 5. Ooh, the Ancestral Recall. They can pay for a Flusterstorm here. I have to let this go. I don't have a choice. We'll play Mox Jet. Dark Ritual. Doomsday. Force of Negation, exiling Lorien Revealed. I will Flusterstorm. They have 5 cards left. Doomsday. And the Doomsday resolves. So I have to think about how I'm going to beat Orcish Bowmasters. So we probably want Time Walk. We saw Dress Down, so I think we want to try putting a Force of Will in the pile. I'm a little nervous about putting a Gush pile together when our opponent could Wasteland me. I'll put a Force of Will in there. If I put in Ancestral Recall and then maybe one more land, is that crazy? I could also try putting in Black Lotus. Yeah, I like this. Okay, so I'm going to hit done. The Force of Will be on the bottom. Black Lotus, Thassa's Oracle, Time Walk, and Ancestral Recall. Pass the turn. So no end-step Orcish Bowmasters. They get Taxian Probe. They now know that I have Flusterstorm. They play Black Lotus. Wasteland. That's problematic. Blue to blue. Psychic Frog. So if they have a counterspell for my Ancestral Recall, I probably lose. We'll play Ancestral Recall. Another Mental Misstep. Yep. I don't think we're winning this one. So with the Wasteland, it's going to prevent me from winning because my next card is the Time Walk, and then Thassa's Oracle's under that, and then under that is a Force of Will, and then the Black Lotus is the bottom card of my deck. So our opponent just like had another draw that lined up well against what I did. And the second Wasteland's going to do me in here. So they opened up on Ancestral Recall, Force of Negation, Mental Misstep, double Wasteland. Like, sometimes, like I said, your opponent just has it. And I'm not trying to complain, I'm just trying to express the nature of Vintage. It's a high variance format. So I'm going to save myself some life equity here, and I'm just going to concede. So, bummer, we lost. I do think that my sideboard was misbuilt. Like, if I had the Fatal Pushes, I would have brought them in. So I would not play the Snuff Outs moving forward. And I did that because all the other Doomsday lists right now on MTG Goldfish are playing Snuff Out because of the fact that Vexing Bauble was restricted. But I think my sideboard from Eternal Weekend was just better. So this is my list from Eternal Weekend where I had the Fatal Pushes and then I had 4 Force of Negation. So what ended up changing is I ended up playing a 4th copy of Flusterstorm and a Daze for all of the stock up decks, and then I think we only faced one stock up deck today. So my changes didn't align well with the small sample sizes of matches we had, and then I think my sideboard ended up being slightly misbuilt. So 3-2, it's a fine record, but ultimately I would have hoped for something a little bit better, because I do think Doomsday is very good. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Hunter for the donation deck. I really do appreciate your support. Everyone, let me know what you think of the league in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you. But that's all I've got for today, so thank you for watching. Have a great day, and as always, keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.